Hi, my name is Sarah Smith. I'm the Home at Last case manager and the outreach coordinator here at Back Bay Mission. We're going to talk about a story about a man that I'm currently working with. We're not going to say his name for privacy reasons, but he came in about 2 years ago when COVID really first started to affect the United States, and everything was kind of shut down at the time, but we stayed open for showers, and he started coming in and we'd have a conversation. He was actually part of our Bible study here, and just like all around kind of a fun guy. And then we noticed about, I guess, 6 or 7 months ago, he really started to decline pretty rapidly. Like, he had been losing weight, but you could really tell like his energy was gone. He just didn't look quite right. He was always complaining of like pain in his stomach up here. The Tylenol was bothering him, so we actually sent Kenny to Walmart to get him ibuprofen that we keep in the day center for him, just for him. And it started to get very noticeable. Like, he would just lay out back and he couldn't really walk a whole lot, and we would try to encourage him to go to the doctor, but he just said they wouldn't do anything. He just kept going to the hospital. We got him connected with Coastal Family Health, but again, kind of when you live on the streets, healthcare is not always a priority like survival is day to day, and then it's hard to make your appointments and things, so he really wasn't keeping up with himself and things. So I guess about 3 weeks ago, 3.5 weeks ago, he really was just laying out here, and he's almost skeletal. He's down to a size 28-inch waist, and he was pretty heavy before. I mean, he was a pretty good sized guy. It just didn't look right. So Kenny encouraged him to go to the hospital. Actually said, if you don't go, we're going to drive you ourselves. So he ended up going and came out with a diagnosis of stomach cancer. They made a referral for him to see a doctor, but because he has no insurance and no income, the doctor wouldn't see him. So we were kind of stuck. We had been trying to house this man probably since we met him, and for some reason he's just one of those ones that just kept slipping through the cracks, didn't really qualify for a lot of programs. We had tried to make those connections several times. It just never really worked out. So now with the cancer diagnosis, he's obviously qualified for my program. So immediately, I would say within a week from the diagnosis, he was housed. I mean, we had him housed in under a week. But in the meantime, he was sleeping on a dock down by the IP on the Back Bay. And I asked him where he was, and he said to get here was very difficult for him. He really couldn't get here. He wasn't able to hold food down. Everything was coming back up out. So I told him I would drive him out some Ensure to the dock and see if we could try to get some calories in him. So Back Bay Mission, we went out and bought him Ensure. I go down here to this dock, and it made me sad and angry. Like, I was angry that people are dying. I mean, we see it all the time, right? We see people wither and die on the streets with no help all the time. They fall through the cracks, they can't get them insurance. Like, the process is confusing. I'm confused by the process oftentimes. Like, you apply for Medicaid, they come back and say you have to have Social Security first, or you have to apply for Social Security first. You can't go to the Medicaid office, you can't go to the Social Security office, you can't talk to people on the phone, it's mail it in, COVID. So the process can be very frustrating for people who do this all the time. So we went down, I went to the dock where he said that he was at. I think my heart broke a little. You have to climb up and over this thing because it's barricaded, and then you have to go way out on this dock to the end where he was. It was missing slats of wood, quite a lot of wood, like it was a game. I don't even know how he got out there at night. And I went down to the end of the dock, and he was like hunched over this bench, and he had a can of tuna fish and a Gatorade and a sleeping bag. And this is how this man had been living out there for quite some time. And he said sometimes, because he had lost so much weight, like the bones were sticking out in his back and in his hips, he said laying here just hurt so bad, so I just kind of draped myself over this. And I remember thinking, it was a Friday, and I remember leaving thinking, I feel so frustrated. I cannot leave this man out on this dock to die. Like, I have to get him his apartment. We've got to get electric. We got to get his furniture. I have to do intake. Like, there's things that have to happen before we can do a move-in, as frustrating as that is. But I knew we had the unit. We were getting it cleaned. We were getting it ready for him. In the meantime, though, like, it's inclement weather. By inclement, I mean 110 degrees daily here. They're saying, the newsman comes on the news every day and says, stay in the air conditioning, heat advisories, extreme heat. And you're thinking, not just him, but so many other people are just laying out here in this heat with absolutely no relief. And I'm South Mississippi. If you've ever lost your air conditioner for a day or two, you would rather pay to get your air fixed than to eat for a week. So, I mean, it's pretty brutal heat, and I can't imagine suffering with stomach cancer. You can't eat, you're uncomfortable, just, oh, it was so sad. So I brought him out insured, which is really all I could do for him at that point. And I remember thinking, I'm so frustrated, because, I had another client pass away waiting on housing behind a building in the cold, maybe with or without cancer. We don't really know the circumstances. And I've had clients pass away in my program of cancer. It's a slow, just a really sad thing to watch. So we started the Medicaid paperwork, and I just posted a frustration on Facebook. I posted a picture of the doc and the back of this gentleman, and just that I was very frustrated that people have to live and die on the streets daily, but especially the ones that are very sick and deteriorating. And this isn't the only one. I mean, there are so many people. We have a lady in the day center that came yesterday that's on 24-hour a day, 7-day a week oxygen. Where do you charge your oxygen? Like, they live in their vehicle. We're not open on the weekends. We have a gentleman the other day that his diabetes medicine has to stay cold. He says he leaves it out and it basically spoils within 1 to 2 days. Like, what are you supposed to do? We have this really sad population of dying, declining, and there's no services really for them to be at peace. There's really nowhere for them to go to just relax and rest. If they get COVID, they don't have anywhere to sleep. And, having COVID in January and seeing other people that had COVID, that was miserable. I cannot imagine laying on the streets in the heat with COVID, or anything really, let alone cancer. So I put this frustration out on Facebook, and this really is probably more of a story of community. People care. Like, people really care. Some people just don't know. It doesn't get out enough, I think, about what's happening. But I just put on there how sad I was about this man, and it would be about a week before I could get him into his apartment. So immediately, a friend of mine on Facebook that also runs a group, Operation Homeless Hope, took the post and shared it. And I'll tell you something, it has been so overwhelming and kind, and kind of like this really amazing things happened. So what they did was, people sent money for this man. They didn't just send some money. We had a local business, Jacked Up, donate $100 to this man in cash. Like, let's get him off the dock and into a hotel till we can get him housed, so he's not laying out here on the streets. So I ended up, I think, getting altogether, it was about $900 people donated. They put it into my PayPal. I went down and paid for him to get into the hotel. He stayed in the hotel, I think, it was like 4 or 5 days he ended up in the hotel. So, and then the rest of the money just went to him for, I don't care if you want to go eat hamburgers 6 days a week, the money is yours. So any additional money we had, it went straight to him. But it was amazing because people donated clothes. And this isn't just even a story about the money. Like, these people went out and got this man clothes. They cook food for him. I have a lady that's like, I want to bring him clothes. I'm going to bring him food, because I've experienced this with family. This gentleman has no family. All his siblings have passed, 2 of them from cancer, and his parents have passed. He has no wife, no children, nothing. So it's just him. He knows of no family, living family here. So I have a lady that, oh, she's so kind. She goes over and brings him meals to put in his freezer that hopefully he's still having a hard time eating. Another lady reached out. I work for the oncologist at this hospital. We're going to get him in. I'm going to get you up with a patient advocate. Like, patient advocates within 2 days were calling me. We're going to see him. We're going to help you with the Social Security. We're going to help you with the Medicaid. What's interesting is, to get Social Security with cancer, you have to be a stage 4. You have to be dying to get Social Security. Like, there's something wrong here. But anyways, if he's not a stage 4, it doesn't matter. They can still help cover the cost with this program that they have. Will help cover anything that's kind of left over. I've had people reach out from local organizations. How can I help? Let me deliver a bed so he can get in quicker. I'm going to bring this. Somebody gave him a Keurig coffee pot. Like, it has been so kind and humbling, to watch, because I think we think people don't care, but people they just legitimately don't know. So this man will be being seen tomorrow at a hospital to get a proper prognosis, like what stage is he at, what's a treatment plan, is there a treatment plan, whether he is or isn't. I remember he looked at me and said, I have hope. And then he said, what's more important is I'm not going to die on a dock. And I said, no, we're not going to do that. So he has somebody. Well, he has a lot of somebodies now, so he's not alone. He has people that can check on him all the time. I can't go out every day, but I've been out 6, 7, 8 times. I brought a macaroni and cheese the other day from the house because he said he had a craving for it. It's just watching kindness take place and valuing human life. They don't care if he's homeless. They don't care if he doesn't have anything. People just want to help. And I don't know, I wish more people had somebody's. I don't know what his prognosis is, but every step of the way, Back Bay is going to be there. I'm sure all these people that have already reached out are going to continue to help. It's nice to know that when there's a need, social media can be used for good. It doesn't have to be used to politically divide, socially divide, mask divide, vaccine divide. It can really be used to bring a community together. Because I think I've always said, Back Bay Mission isn't going to cure homelessness. We can't help every person get into a hotel. We can't solve every person's problem. We try to get them in the right direction. If we can't do it, we do everything that we can do. But to cure homelessness, to provide services for this many people, to fill in the gaps. I don't know every service out there, and I've been doing this for 4 years. I don't know every nook and cranny to get people into, and we're in a healthcare system that is overwhelmed with COVID right now. So the fact that they have worked so hard to get him in so quick, I'm really excited to see what's going to happen with him. I think I've been very humbled by this story, and I don't know, because the last time I put something out, it didn't go well. So I was just cautious about doing it again. And I find that there's just so many amazing people on the Gulf Coast. And more importantly, this man will not die alone. He will not die on a dock alone. He will not jump over pieces of wood to get to a place to lay and eat tuna fish till he passes away. Like, he has a home, we take him grocery shopping, we help him provide food. If he doesn't have the money, he doesn't have any income, so we buy him his insurer if he needs his insurer, which is actually staying down. They have a new kind of insurer that's like almost like a Pedialyte, so it's not thick and heavy and hot, like the other one. So they have like a liquidy Pedialyte sort of one out now, and that's working really well for him. But I went over the other day and he was cutting crosses in paper and gluing them to his wall, and he just said he had so much hope, and it was nice seeing him look sick but happy. He doesn't look so worn down from the sun every day, and he can just sleep in his bed. And it's so funny because he says his bed is too soft. It's weird. I get that a lot with the homeless, like when you house them and they've been sleeping on the concrete or the ground or whatever, and then you house them, their beds are always too soft. They have a hard time sleeping in them. But it's a joy to work with him. Laz, the story we talked about with Laz had somebody all the way till the end. He had us. He was never alone, and it's the same. It's going to be the same thing with this individual, and whatever the prognosis is, doctor's appointments, chemo, radiation, whatever's going to happen, we're going to be a part of it. And I'm so thankful for all the other people that have been a part of his story: Back Bay, Coastal Family Health, Memorial Hospital, Singing River. I mean, just really Operation Homeless Hope and James Bates, and like all these amazing people have just stepped up to the plate to help just this one man, and everyone counts. So even if we can't cure the problem of homelessness overnight, we don't always have to look at it like that. I think it's the little things that we can do, like bring your medicine here, and I'm going to put it in the refrigerator for you so it stops spoiling. Like, those are just little acts of kindness that we can open our doors on a Thursday when we're closed in the day center, and you can come in and take your shot, and we're going to put it back in the refrigerator so your medicine's not spoiling on the streets. It's I think those little things that equal up to be the big things in one person's life. It does not have to be, everybody thinks I have to make this giant change. We don't. We can stop that one person under the bridge and just say hi. That one woman you see walking down the road with her cat or dog, we can bring her out some dog food or cat food. Just little small acts of kindness, and I think it's a beautiful thing. So I'm really excited. I hope I have a positive update on this story. I hope we have something really great to share soon about this story. But either way, just the fact that he's housed and hopeful, I think, is enough for today.